Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Sports Corner tier list. I am your host, Kieren D. I'm joined today by Will.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing alright, mate, are you?
I'm alright.
So thanks for joining us, everyone and all. Today we're going to be doing tier list number 1, which is Premier League forwards. But before we get into it, it is the transfer season. As you can see on the bottom, on the little scroller, got all the biggest rumours and the headlines of today, really. There's not really much been going on. It is day 1. I can expect it to hop in the next few weeks and few days, probably. But before we start the tier list, every single week, I'm going to ask the guest 2 questions before we get into the tier list that relate to them in a way. Will is a Liverpool fan, so I'm going to ask him 2 Liverpool-related questions. And the questions I've got for you today, Will, are, number 1, I don't know if you've seen, but Harvey Barnes has been linked to Liverpool as a potential transfer target. What is your opinion on that?
You know what? I would actually really like Harvey Barnes at Liverpool. I think he fits the system really well. As you can see, when this season at Leicester, I think he's done pretty well. He's definitely a high presser, which is good. Klopp likes his energy, apparently, what he brings. And I think what we need to start doing is getting subsequent backups to the front three, because obviously we've seen we bought Shaqiri, and Shaqiri's all right, but the guy is really struggling with injuries and barely playing, really. And I think Harvey Barnes would be a fantastic replacement for if Shaqiri possibly leaves, or just because we do need another winger. So I think Harvey Barnes at a reasonable price, I think it would be a really good signing.
Of course, as well, he's like you said, he's done all right at Leicester this year. Surely he's going to be a big backup. I think the good thing for Liverpool is that none of those front three are really injury prone, so we've not really seen that as a problem as of yet. But if one of those front three were to get injured, surely he would be a good enough replacement for Mane, for example, if he got injured on the left side.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that you want. You want your backups to bit of step in and don't skip a beat. And I think buying Harvey Barnes would do that for Liverpool. I think it would be a good signing. And like you say, he's still pretty young. Liverpool, obviously all the big clubs, they want to start buying more younger players instead of buying players that are just kind of like entering in the prime or leaving the prime. So Harvey Barnes still got a lot more to bring. And I think coming to Liverpool will be a huge step for him, but also a huge addition to the Liverpool squad.
I think as we'll move on to the next question when you say Liverpool squad. You always say to me that you need depth, you need these players, you need this, you need that. So my next question is, where do Liverpool need to strengthen during this transfer window? We've just seen Lovren move on to Zenit today. Lallana's probably going to be going to Brighton. Obviously, you need to replace those type of players within your squad. Who do you think you should invest in?
I think it definitely is just depth, because when you look at the starting 11 of Liverpool, it's top to bottom, it's absolutely fantastic. But you never know what can happen. Injuries can happen. It's football. Anything can happen. So you do need them people to come in. I think what's needed is you need a backup left back in case Andy Robertson picks up an injury, and also just give Andy Robertson a bit of a rest. He's played nearly every single game this season, and when we bring in when we rest Andy Robertson and play someone like Milner at left back, it's not the same, because we don't have that left back flying down the wing, whipping in the crosses, and the play style has to be changed. So I think getting in a backup left back is definitely needed. I wouldn't mind. Jamal Lewis, I think, from Norwich would be a nice signing for us. They've gone down Norwich, so I think he could be available at a reasonable price, because I think Norwich would be forced to sell. So I think he'd be a fantastic buy. I think another midfielder's needed as well. With Lallana going, like you said, it's depth that's lost. I'd look at an attacker that's more creative. Obviously, we've got a lot of midfielders that like to win the ball and play it out to the overlapping fullbacks, and they're more like hard-working midfielders. But I think a midfielder that brings a bit of flair, a bit of passing ability. We've been linked with Thiago. I would really like Thiago at Liverpool, but again, we've been linked to him so much. I feel like are people just making these rumours up on purpose, to try and force a move. I think a midfielder would be a good signing, and a backup for the front three, like we just mentioned with Harvey Barnes. I think Harvey Barnes would be a nice signing. Leon Bailey is a guy I'd like to see Liverpool sign. Apparently, he's available this summer for about 25 to 30 million. So if we can get someone like Leon Bailey from Leverkusen, I think he'd be another player that could be a good backup on the wing.
I think a lot of those players that you said would be good backup. There's not many that would break that first starting 11 mould that Liverpool have. They've got a really good balance in the type of players you've got. You've got your ball winners, you've got your creative fullbacks, you've got your strikers that just score goals. It would be difficult to see anybody signed that would break into the first team. The only person you said there that I think would break into the first team is probably Thiago.
Yeah, I probably agree. Thiago probably would break into the first 11. And I think a midfielder just needed as well, because Gini Wijnaldum, it's a big story at the moment. Will he sign that new contract? Apparently we've offered him it. and we've been in negotiations for like 3 or 4 months now, but there's still no update on that, and he's only got 1 year left on his deal. So I'm starting to think Gini Wijnaldum could be on the way out. So I think if we did sign Thiago, it'd be a fantastic replacement for Wijnaldum because they are very similar. Like Thiago, people see him as more of an attacking player, but also his defensive capabilities, I think, are a bit overlooked because he likes to win the ball deep and then play the balls over the top, and he just kind of makes the team tick. So I think he would be definitely one of our main targets this summer. But it's so hard to improve a team. They just won the league. They've just got 99 points. But we do definitely need to buy some players this summer. After last summer, we'd not buying anybody. Depth is definitely needed.
I think every team, when you win the league, they struggle like the following season to retain the league because they don't sign the right quality of players. Like Sir Alex Ferguson was always quality at doing that. Like when he retained the league, obviously brought in the likes of Hernandez, Ashley Young, those sort of players that were just on the fringes of being like at their prime. And when he brought them in, he made the team better. Like I didn't even know who Javier Hernandez was when he came to Manchester United, but when he came in, obviously it was great. But that's why I think a lot of teams in the Premier League, especially, struggle to retain the league the following season. Because you've seen it with Man City this year. They signed João Cancelo, not the right player to sign, and they've obviously had trouble with injury with Laporte and Aguero. But yeah, the transfers that they've brought in haven't been the best for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got to keep that fire in the squad. You need to keep competition for places. Otherwise, players get complacent and think, well, I'm going to be playing every single week. I don't need to give my all. I mean, Liverpool have been hunting for this league title for so long. I hope the players don't think, no, right, we've got the league title, we can rest on our laurels. We need to go at it again. But I think bringing in fresh faces does that because it keeps the, like I said, it keeps the fire in the squad, keeps the competition for places. And I think it's needed. Like you mentioned, Ferguson knew how to do it brilliantly because he's bringing players that wouldn't unsettle the first squad, but they're bringing competition and reinforce the squad and make it stronger. And while you're on top, you just need to stay on top. You need to make sure you keep reinforcing and not just resting on what you've already got.
I think that is a problem in modern day football, though, because a lot of players now want to be first team regulars. They start to push their toys out the pram if they're not first team regulars a lot.
Yeah, it's probably. I know what you mean. Players want to play every single week, but when you're winning the league, I think a team that wins the league it has a really good squad of players that know their place in the squad and don't kick up a fuss about wanting to play. I think you've seen with Liverpool. Obviously, we didn't have Mignolet this season. We sold him, but when we brought in Alisson, Mignolet was instantly put to the bench. He was a true professional. He spotted Alisson because he knew that in reality Alisson was a better player than him, and Liverpool paid 70 million for him, so he knew Alisson was going to play week in week out. But bringing in true professional players that know their place in the squad is very important for title winning teams. I'll just mention quickly. We've got 3 comments. We've got a comment from Kobe saying, "Yo lads." Ronaldo's comment needs to put water gathering, Kawhi and Jay Lings. And Chris Welch has put, "Hi lads, hope you're well." And Chris Welch also put a backup left back, creative midfielder, and cover for the front three is needed, in my opinion. So pretty much the same positions that I mentioned.
Yeah, I think if you're a Liverpool fan, it's kind of, if you watch them week in, week out, you know where you need to strengthen, you know where you need the depth, and you've all got your targets in the back of your mind. Like I'd take Jamal Lewis. I'd take half the players that you said. To be honest, I'd take all of them.
Yeah.
So start of the day, Will, today. I don't think you'll have known this. Liverpool are the only team in the top 5 to take points off Manchester United this season.
Well, I did not actually know that.
Yeah, well, now all of you know something now. But it's time for the tier list. That's what you all come for. That's what me and Will are going to do. So without further ado, here it is. Can you see that? Was it all good? Because I actually am not on StreamYard now.
It's a bit blurry, but I can see it.
It's a bit blurry, right?
Yeah.
Hang on. So it's going to be a bit blurry for you. But if someone in the comments could tell me how it looks, because I actually can't see it on StreamYard now.
It's definitely, it'll be fine for the people watching it. It's just because I'm looking from quite far. It's quite blurry. But yeah.
We'll start with this man, which is Will's favourite player on Football Manager, Albion Ajeti.
Oh no.
So hang on. Before we start, the tiers are: we've got world class, very good, good, not quite there, and get gone. So
you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go. You can give your opinion on Albion Ajeti.
Right, Albion Ajeti, right? It's a tough one because I don't think he's played enough for me to give his verdict on him, and he's still like, did West Ham just sign him like a few last year or something?
I think he came at the start of the season.
Yeah, so I've not seen much of him, and I still think he's pretty young. But because I've not seen him much play, I'd probably say not quite there at the moment to be that starter in the Premier League and goal scorer every week.
I think I'd agree with you because obviously he wasn't signed to be the first team regular because they obviously got Sebastian Haller at the start of the transfer window as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll probably agree with you. We'll put Albion Jetty in not quite there. So next up, we've got shithouse striker number 1, Ashley Barnes. And obviously, he's a massive part of Burnley's squad, along with Chris Wood. He started off the season very well. Unfortunate injury about halfway through the season, making Jay Rodriguez into that main striker with Chris Wood. But he's still a shithouse at the end of the day, isn't he?
He is, definitely. When you play for Burnley, it's just lump up the field, bring it down, defend. They're just a very, very just typical English team, aren't they? Really, but they know it works for them, so I can't really argue against it.
I think he's good at what he does, so I'm going to put him in good.
I'd definitely agree. I think he's a tier above a Jetty, and like you say, on his day he's good, but unfortunately, that injury derailed him this season.
Next up, we've got Andy Carroll, and obviously he's had an injury-stricken season as he does every year. But I think I think it's time for Andy Carroll to maybe leave the Premier League. I think it might be. I think his time has gone. Maybe he needs to step down a division. Maybe he just needs to leave the country entirely.
I agree. I think he's the first player you can get gone to.
I agree. So Andy Carroll is officially the first player in get gone to.
He's gone.
So next up, Andy Carroll is officially gone. Next up is Anwar El Ghazi. Obviously, I think he's had a pretty decent first year with Aston Villa. This is his first taste of the Premier League, I'm pretty sure. He did well in the Championship last year.
Yeah.
For me, though, I think Villa do need to strengthen, especially on the wings. With Trezeguet, he did really well towards the end of the season, obviously scored crucial goals and keeping them up. But I don't think those two work well together as wingers. They probably need to strengthen in those areas if they want to move up the Premier League table.
I probably agree. I think, like you say, he did well in the Championship last season, scored in the playoff final for Villa, but I agree. I think he's not quite there in terms of a Premier League player. But I think he's one of those players. He's a good squad player, but you don't want him starting on the wing, if you're looking to, stay in the Premier League.
I'm going to go with not quite there yet with Anwar El Ghazi.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not quite sure how old he is, to be fair, but I don't think he's quite at Premier League level to be a good Premier League player.
I agree.
So next up, we've got Andre Gray. He's obviously been in the Premier League for quite a while. Had a bit with Burnley, then he's come to Watford. He's had a few good performances here and there, but I also think that his time in the Premier League is over. Well, obviously it is over now because they've gone down with Watford.
Yeah,
but I don't think anybody will be looking at Andre Gray and thinking he can come in and establish as a Premier League team or keep us up next season, for example, if you're one of the new Championship teams. What do you think about Andre Gray?
I think it's a tough one, Andre Gray, because I think when he was playing for Burnley and he came up with Burnley, he looked like he was a very promising player. But I agree. I think he's had a few years in the Prem now, and I don't think he's shown he can be that consistent goal scorer. And especially he's gone down with Watford, which showed he couldn't help keep them up. I think he's not. I think he's in the not quite there tier, unfortunately.
Obviously, he had that falling out with Nigel Pearson as well. So I'll go with you. We'll put him in not quite there. So next up, we've got Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh. I know KL is in the chat. He's absolutely loving it. Are we putting him in world class?
Well, we've been getting a lot of comments here, and Benaldo just put Jahanbakhsh overhead kick 5-star. So he thinks he's a world class overhead kick merchant.
I think
Kobe's
we need to decide.
Joelinton's world class as well.
I think we need to decide now whether we're doing this as a meme thing or we're doing it as an actual thing based on actual quality.
Overhead kicks is world class overhead kick taker, but I think in terms of from what I've seen from him so far, I can't put him in good because I don't think he's that great of a player. He's £20 million. He was their record signing. I think he's only scored like 2 goals for Brighton.
I think he was injured though at the start of the season. Obviously, he scored 2 goals, 2 overhead kicks. But also he's an overhead kick merchant. I think it's tough to say get gone because but I do think he's not in Graham Potter's plans.
I probably agree with you. He wasn't Potter's signing, were he? So when a manager,
obviously Graham Potter's not used him since he's come back from lockdown. I'm pretty sure.
I know Kieran's in the chat. He's going to be pretty annoyed with this. But I think he's not quite there.
I also think he's not quite there as well yet. Not yet. Maybe next season. If we see him consistently in Graham Potter's plans, maybe we can do this tier list again in 1 year's time, hopefully, and we'll see what differences we've got. But next up, we've got a man that also divides opinion. We've got Alexander Lacazette.
I'm gonna go with straight off the bat. I think he's very good. I don't think he's in that world class tier. He's definitely better than good because he's better than Barnes, but I think he's very good in that very good tier. We know what Lacazette can do. Again, you could say this season he's been a bit underwhelming at times, but still a very good striker on his day, I think.
I'm his biggest critic because I don't like Alexander Lacazette, but a lot of people like him. And when I do watch him, he has that quality. It just frustrates me that he doesn't use it a lot. It's very similar to how Anthony Martial was a few years ago. He's got the quality, but it's not on a consistent basis. But I'm going to go with you as well and put him in very good. Well, next up, speaking of Anthony Martial, we have got Anthony Martial. And a bit similar to Lacazette, he does lack consistency. But this season, he's been very, very good.
Yeah, I agree. I've never been a massive fan of Martial. I know he's got good talent, very good finish in front of goal. But again, I've always disliked his work rate. I don't think his mentality is always there. But I agree. I think he's a very good striker. I think he's in the same tier as Alexander Lacazette. I won't put him below Lacazette. I don't think he's world class. He's got the potential because he's, like I say, he's still only 23. I thought he were older than that because he's been around for. Seems like he's been around for so long in the Premier League. I think he's in that very good tier.
I think just looking at the pool of players we've got here, there's not a lot of players that would get into the world class tier. There's only maybe 3 or 4 that would get into there. But next up, we've got Jose Perez. I think he's had a good year at Leicester. Well, before lockdown especially, he had a very, very good time at Leicester. Obviously, making that move from Newcastle, where he was the star player there. I think he's had a good step up in terms of team that he's been at. He scored a lot of goals, a lot of crucial goals. I think he should be in probably good tier.
I agree. I think he's in that middle good tier. I don't think he's very good, but I also think he's better than not quite there. I think it was a good signing for Leicester to bring him in. He's kind of played on the wing a bit for them as well, up top with Vardy. But I do agree. He's brought some more firepower to that Leicester attack, which has helped them get Europa League players. Probably should have been in the Champions League, but they're in Europe next season. So yeah, I probably agree. Good tier for Jose Perez.
Right, next up we've got Speed Merchant number 1, ASM, and now straight off the bat, I think he should be in very good tier because he's in a Newcastle squad which isn't very good. They've been underperforming all season pretty much until after lockdown, and he's carried them, to be perfectly honest. He has been unlucky with injuries as well, but when he has played, he just always looks a threat.
Yeah, again, the talent's there for him. I thought it was a very good signing for Newcastle to bring him in. I just want to see more goals from him. I know he creates a lot of chances with the pace and the skills he has to get down the wing. I don't know if I can put him in the same tier as Martial and Lacazette. Maybe if he was in the same tier, he'd be at the bottom of that tier. I will look into more towards good. But if you want to put him in very good, I don't have anything against that because I think he has the talent to be a very good player.
The thing for me is I think he'd have a lot more assists if he didn't have, no disrespect to any Newcastle fans, but I think he'd have a lot more assists if he didn't have Joe Linton or Dwight Gale on the end of crosses. If he had someone like Sergio Aguero, for example, on the end of crosses, he'd probably score a lot more goals. Get a lot more assists, sorry.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from that point, to be honest. I think he definitely stands out in the team, whereas if he went to a big team, like you say, he'd fit in so well, so much better because he'd be playing with better players around him. But I'm only basing off what I've seen.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right, we'll go with good then, because you've put a good argument in.
I think he definitely can be world class, and I think in a top 4 team he would be a very good player.
Right, next up we've got Pace Merchant number 2, Adama Traore, and he has had a really, really good season.
Yeah.
I think very good.
I agree. Very good, yeah.
He has stepped up massively this season. For me, it was always a question of consistency with Adama Traore. Obviously, we've seen it. He's so quick. When he was up in the Premier League with Middlesbrough, we saw it, how quick he was, but it was always that end product. And this year, he has added that to his final, to himself in the final third. Like, you've seen the amount of times him and Raul Jimenez have linked up to score goals this season. It's been magnificent. I think he's a level above ASM at the moment, but they're very similar players to me.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. I think they are very similar players. I also agree. I think he's very good, and he's just such a unique player. You know how big he is, how fast he is, and how strong he is. And like I say, it was always that can Adama Traore develop his end product? Because we know he's got all the physical attributes that any player would love to have. And this season he has. He's scored more goals. He's created so many chances. Obviously scored 2 at the Etihad Stadium to give him a 2-0 win. I agree, he's a very good player, and I think there'll be some big clubs sniffing around for Adama Traore.
I think that's the problem for Wolves now. They've got to try and keep the players like Jimenez. I think it'll be tough to keep him. Traore, it's going to be tough to keep him. Diego Jota. There's a lot of players in that Wolves squad now. Now they've had 2 seasons to settle. That maybe people will come sniffing in and try and poach him.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's always a problem with teams like that, like Wolves. They're always in that, like 6, 7 position, looking like a really good team, but there's always clubs bigger than them, and there's always clubs that be looking to take your players, and that is a tough spot to be in for Wolves. But as of right now, he's still a Wolves player. I'll have to see what the future holds for him.
Oh, definitely. I do agree with what Bernardo's saying though. He is a super sub. He's Adama Traore.
Yeah, definitely a super sub. But I think this season he's definitely also cemented his place in that first team for Wolves. And I think you take him out of that Wolves team, you're losing a big dynamic on the right hand side because it causes so much problem. And when a team comes up against Wolves, they know they have to account for Adama Traore, which can then take attention off some of the other players they've got. Jota's also a good player. Jimenez obviously a really good striker for them as well. I think Kobe's put Maxim in his world class as well.
Well, we'll have to decide later on Alan Maximin. But next up, we've got Billy Sharp. Sheffield United have had a good season. I don't really recall Billy Sharp scoring that many goals, but he has stepped up from the Championship to the Premier League, and I'm not quite sure where to put him. I don't know whether to put Sheffield United players in not quite there yet or quite all good. But for me, Billy Sharp, I don't think he scored that many goals to be on good. Maybe next season. I know he is getting on a bit, but maybe next season he'll score a few more goals, become like the sort of Glenn Murray of the Sheffield United team.
Yeah, I'd probably be looking at not quite there tier. I know Billy Sharp, when you look at him as a whole of his career, he's been a fantastic goal scorer in the English leagues. 33 years old now. He's been around for quite a while. But I think you've seen with Sheffield United this season, they've brought in Lys Mousset, they've brought in Ollie McBurney. I think that's the direction they're looking to go. And Billy Sharp's now seen as more just a squad player, where in previous seasons he would have been their main goal scorer, bringing him up from League One and then into the Premier League from the Championship. I think as of right now, as a Premier League player, he's not quite there for me.
I just noticed Olivier Giroud's not even on this tier list. So whoever put Jasseland, you're going to be fuming.
He's already been put in God tier.
If I could type or if I could add an image, I'd just put Olivier Giroud like up at the top under the logo. Anyway, next up we've got Bernardo Silva. Me and you, we know we have this meme about Bernardo Silva. He thinks he's hard. He is a very good player. I don't think he's quite in world. Last season, he was world class. This season, I don't think he's. Oh no, Olivier Giroud is in. He's there.
Giroud. Ah, there he is.
They've just put him in a random place because they're all obviously in alphabetical order. And then Olivier Giroud smacked in the middle of Glenn Murray and Harvey Barnes when he should be down in between McBurney and Niasse.
Yeah.
Well, sorry about Jasseland.
Jasseland is exciting now because we'll be getting to Giroud eventually.
Anyway, Bernardo Silva. Last season, I'd say world class. This season, I'd say very good.
I agree. I think he's in that very good tier. World class. I agree. Last season, he was a key member of that title-winning team for City, but this season, I don't think he's been as good. Maybe that's because of the emergence of Kevin De Bruyne being so good coming off that injury. I agree. He's still a very good player, very, very talented, but I just wouldn't put him in that world class tier.
Right, next up we've got Che Adams. He's had a very difficult season, but I think after lockdown, he's definitely come out of his shell a little bit. He obviously got a double yesterday, scored that goal against Man City. It's been difficult for him stepping up from Birmingham to Premier League. I'd probably go not quite there yet.
I was also going to say not quite there yet, but I think he's at the top of that tier, and he is on the verge of being good. Based on him getting more game time and obviously more confidence.
Yeah, definitely. He has got the potential to be a good striker. Like you saw how many goals he scored at Birmingham, and if he could replicate that sort of form in the maybe he just needed a year to gel, because obviously the Premier League is a tier above the Championship in terms of level of skill and defensive ability, especially. Yeah,
I agree. Just more game time for Che Adams. That's all it is really, and like you say, still pretty young anyway. So I think more game time, more confidence as he gets more cemented into the league. I think you'll definitely see him, moving up into that good tier and scoring. Maybe he can score as many goals as Danny Ings can.
All right, next up we've got Christian Benteke, former Liverpool legend, as you'll know, scored the overhead kick against Man United. Can't remember any other goal he scored, Will. Can you remember any other good times he had at Liverpool?
I think he scored 10 goals for Liverpool in one season. I remember him scoring a thunderbolt against Bordeaux in the Europa League. He scored a tap in. I think it was against Bournemouth or something on the second day of the season. But it was always consistency with Benteke. And as soon as I thought it wasn't Klopp's sign, it was Brendan Rodgers' sign. And as soon as Klopp came in, he just was not in Klopp's plans at all.
I think Benteke might be the second inductee to get gone to you. What do you think?
At this point in his career, I'd probably agree with you. Yeah, I think he is.
So Benteke is the second inductee to get gone with Andy Carroll. Him and Andy Carroll are getting shipped off. Next up, we've got Cho or Callum Hudson-Odoi. He has had an injury struggle season. He has got the quality for me. Obviously, like Jocelyn said, he's probably not quite there yet, and I'd probably agree with him.
I'd agree. I'd definitely agree with you. Sign that big new contract with Chelsea, and when you look at the pure potential that Hudson-Odoi has, I do agree he can be a good player in the Premier League. As of right now, though, I think he's not quite there.
So yeah, next up we've got the man who's probably been maybe the best player since the return of football, Christian Pulisic. Obviously, he's done fantastic for Chelsea since after the restart. We are ranking this on the whole season though, so I can't put him in world class for that reason. I'd have to go very good.
I agree. I think he's very good, and very good save for me. Definitely for Christian Pulisic. And like you say, it took him a bit of time to get into the side. He struggled with a bit of injuries, struggled to get cement his first place team. But we know the quality Christian Pulisic has, and he's still very, very young. Exciting young player for Chelsea. I mean, when he came on against Liverpool in midweek, run past 3 players, got an assist for Tammy Abraham, and then on the spin makes it 4-3 and put Chelsea back in the game. He just has flashes of brilliance. And this season, since lockdown, he's shown that consistently he can be a very good player.
Oh, definitely. The quality is there. It's just the question of if he's fit, can he consistently keep at that pace? Which I think he probably can, because we've seen it since lockdown's ended, and after the restart, he has probably been the most on form player in the Premier League, and definitely Chelsea's main threat going forward.
Definitely agree with you right there.
So next up, we've got Callum Robinson. I think he moved, didn't he? Halfway through the season. I think he plays in the Championship now.
Plays for West Brom now, I think, yeah.
Plays for West Brom, so he will be in the Premier League next season. I didn't really see too much of him in the Premier League. I'm not quite sure where to put him.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, like I say, he got loaned out to West Brom, trying to help them get promoted into the Premier League. I wouldn't say he's get gone because, like you say, I can't judge him on anything. I can't judge him. I can't say get gone based on because I haven't seen him. Probably put him not quite there for now.
Can I add another tier in? I don't think I can add another tier. We'll just put him in.
I'd say not quite there.
We'll put him in not quite there, but we'll put him at the bottom because before we started, I should have really just put a middle tier in between not quite there and get gone, which was just like bad or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up is Cenk Tosun. He went from Everton to Palace. Yeah. And I don't really think he's done much at Palace, to be fair. I think he scored 1 goal against Man City.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember him doing, to be fair. And for me, that's the third inductee to get gone.
Ooh, right. I was going to put him in not quite there, but I think because obviously Everton signed. Was he a January signing for Everton or was he summer signing?
I think they signed him last January. I can't remember.
Yeah. So I think coming into the Premier League mid-season, I think was hard for him. And then getting loaned out to Palace this season was his main chance. But I'm with you again. The only thing I can remember him doing is scoring against Man City because I remember getting so hyped because I'm thinking Palace are going to do us a favour here, beat Man City.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll say get gone because from what I've seen from him since he's been in the Premier League, I've not seen him do much. Yeah.
So Cenk Tosun is the third inductee to get gone. Now we've got your favourite striker, Connor Wickham, who you absolutely adore. He's been injured for the majority of the season. Again, it's similar to Callum Robinson. I'm not quite sure where to put him because I don't think he's played for Palace this season at all in the Premier League.
No, he's been on loan at Sheffield Wednesday since January.
Of course he has. I don't want to put him in get gone just for you, but I'm not sure where else to put him.
Do you know what? If we're basing it off a Premier League tier list, I don't think he's a Premier League player. So I've got to put. I'm sorry, Connor, but I've got to put you in getting gone. However, feel free to come to Wednesday permanently because I think you'll be a very good Championship striker if you stay healthy.
So our fourth inductee into get gone is Connor
It's Connor
Wickham,
Wickham.
unfortunately for Will. Next up, we've got three strikers who've been very, very good this season. I'd say, well, actually, two have probably been very good this season. But we'll start with Callum Wilson. It's been a mixed bag for Callum Wilson, I'd say, for the past 2 years. He's a great goal scorer, and he's scored a lot of goals in the Premier League in the first half of seasons. But when it comes to the second half of seasons, he always seems to go off the boil a bit. It's probably because he gets injured in the second half of the season. But there's something about January to May that he doesn't like, I think. And for me, I don't think he's in very good. I think he's a good quality Premier League striker, based it on Barnes, Perez, and ASM. I think he's probably just a bit below them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think he's a good Premier League striker, but it's always been the question with Callum Wilson: can he consistently score them goals week in week out for Bournemouth? And we've seen this season he obviously can't because they've been relegated. But I think he still is a good Premier League striker on his day, and I would take him over those players, and I'm not quite there to you.
Has he been there? Has he been fit all season, Callum Wilson? Like, I can't remember him getting injured. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, does he just go missing in some games? And that's why I struggle to put Callum Wilson in a tier, because we've seen flashes of him to be a good Premier League striker, but then we've also seen flashes where he just disappears for a few weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the middle tier is fair for Callum Wilson.
So next up, we've got Chris Wood. Obviously, shithouse striker number 2. I think he's had a really good season this year, and he's definitely cemented his play. If we're going to put Ashley Barnes in good, we need to put Chris Wood in good as well, I think.
I agree. Yeah, Chris Wood. Most offsides in the Prem, by the way, I think Chris Wood. So he's been trying to get in behind a bit too much. But yeah, I agree. He's a good Premier League striker. He's gonna obviously he's not always gonna be up there for the Golden Boot race, but he's gonna score a solid 8-9 goals a season. So I think Chris Wood, I think he's in that good tier.
Obviously, Rowan's thinking Chris Wood, Ashley Barnes to be in world class tier, I think.
But Rowan thinks David Wheat is world class as well.
We'll move on to I know, and if KL's still in the chat, he'll be absolutely wetting his pants at this. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who has definitely had a really good season, and he shined when Carlo Ancelotti first came in. Off the boil a bit after lockdown. I don't think he scored, but I think he's probably alongside Wilson in good tier. What do you think?
See, if I'm basing it off this season, I think he's been very good for Everton in an Everton side that he's not. They've got some good quality players, but overall with the squad, I don't think it's a very good squad. Obviously, proven where they finished in the Prem. I was going to say a very good tier based off this season, but like you say, if you think he's good, I can't argue against that because it's been his first season really.
You gave me Trent Tosson to get gone, so I'll give you the DCL into very good. I know Kieran will be loving that.
Yeah. Well, Kieran will probably be good because I think he's world class.
Yeah. For Kieran's one, it'd be like everyone else get gone and DCL will be at top.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got Dwight Gale. I think he scored 2 goals this season. One against you lot, obviously, yesterday, and I think he got one against, I think it was Villa. But for me, I think he's the 5th inductee to get gone. He's been every time he's in the Premier League, he's just so underwhelming. But when he's in the Championship, he just seems like a different animal.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's if a team in the Championship signs him, they're probably a contender to go up because he just loves the Championship. But as soon as he comes to the Prem, he's just not a Premier League quality striker, I don't think. Obviously, he's always loved scoring against Liverpool. Cristambul, I'm sure the White Girl will remember that quite fondly. But I agree. Championship quality is fantastic, but I don't think he's quite up to that Prem standard.
So next up, we've got Demarai Gray. I'm not sure what to say about Demarai Gray. He has been in the Premier League for a few years. Yeah. I might be harsh here, but I don't think he's Premier League quality. I think it's get gone for Demarai Gray. I know probably a lot of people won't think that, but for me, he just doesn't show enough.
I think he's not quite there. The reason for it is that I just think I don't think he's good enough starting that Leicester team just because of the players that signed.
Just ignore my sister messaging me saying my Scotch eggs need eating today. Just ignore that.
Oh dear. Demarai Gray, I was going to put him in not quite good because I think if you put him on other Premier League sides where he'd get more games time, I think he'd be a good player. I don't think he's getting gone just yet.
Right, we'll put him in not quite there.
Well, where it is. Yeah.
We'll put him in not quite there. I'll just check
that's fine.
Next up, we've got Danny Ings, who's had a very, very good season in quite a poor Southampton side during the start of the season, especially. Second half of the season, they have come of age. They have woken up to a certain extent. I don't know where to put Danny Ings. I'm bordering between world class and very good for this season.
This season, he's been absolutely incredible, and I'm so happy for Danny Ings because when he was at Liverpool, I really was pulling for him to be a good striker. So I really happy when we signed him, but it's just been injuries with him. However, this season with Southampton, like you said, 21 goals. I think he scored 22 goals. That is absolutely fantastic for a player like Danny Ings at Southampton. Based off this season, I'm looking at the very good tier.
Yeah, we'll go very good for Danny Ings. Next up, we've got David McGoldrick, who's obviously scored 2 goals, the only 2 goals of his Premier League career against Chelsea. I think for David McGoldrick, it's a question of next season. Obviously, he's getting on a bit. Next season, can he score more goals? Can he be that sort of number 9 for Sheffield United? Because Billy Sharp don't start every game. Obviously, they've got Lee Mousset as well, who's been really good this year.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's not quite there yet for David McGoldrick. He's old, obviously, but it's just a case of he's not quite there in terms of Premier League quality. It is his first year in the Premier League. Maybe next year, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Not quite there yet for David McGoldrick, and only 2 goals in the Premier League. It proves a point, really. He's one of them players who he's a good squad player, but you don't want him starting for you.
Right. Well, I've been. Was it not quite there? We're going to put him, yeah.
Yeah, not quite there. Yeah.
Jasland, I agree with you. He was world class when he played against you lot. Next up, we've got Will's favourite second striker, Divock Origi, and I'll let you decide where we put this one.
I think Divock Origi is a good Premier League striker. I think he's obviously better than that, not quite there, but obviously I don't think he's world class just because he doesn't consistently score the goals like a world class player does. I mean, if you're looking at clutch moments, if you want a guy scoring, if you need a goal, 90 plus minutes, Divock Origi is your man to get it. Or in a big game, if you need a goal in a big game and a comeback, Divock Origi is your man to get it. But I think as a overall Premier League striker, I think he's just a good player, similar to that Harvey as that Ashley Barnes, Chris Wood tier.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. Next up, we've got former Liverpool man, Dominic Solanke. I'm not quite where to put Solanke because he had a good ending to the season, but we've seen it for 2 years that he's not really been Premier League quality. I think I agree with what Kieren said a few weeks ago that in the Championship he probably would be similar to Dwight Gale a little bit. It'd probably be quality in the Championship, but probably not up to it in the Premier League.
Yeah, I agree. I think Premier League. For the Premier League, he's getting gone.
Yeah, I also think for the Premier League, he's getting gone.
Just because, Bournemouth signed him for 20 million from Liverpool, which I'm still absolutely amazed how Liverpool managed to get 20 million for him. But we've just not seen enough from him, really. And the crazy thing is about Dominic Solanke, got a little bit of a fact for you here. Chelsea, when it comes to scouting youngsters, Dominic Solanke is obviously the similar age to, well, he's using that similar age category to Kylian Mbappe. Chelsea took Dominic Solanke on instead of Kylian Mbappe on a trial, so they missed out on Kylian Mbappe and got Dom Solanke instead.
So next up, I couldn't think who this was before we started, but now I know it is. It's Sabini, who plays for Paderborn now. I can't really. Did he play for Norwich this season?
I can't remember. No,
I think we should just put him in get gone because
I agree.
I can't remember him playing. Next up, we've got former Man United legend D-Dub Danny Welbeck. Over Kick Merchant Welbeck. Obviously, Watford did get relegated, unfortunately for them.
Yeah,
it couldn't help him stay up, even though he did score. And I'm not quite sure where it goes with Welbeck now. Is he? I don't really think he's a good Premier League striker anymore. But also, I don't think he's not quite there. I think he's also a get gone now.
I agree. I think Danny Welbeck's career. I think he's washed. Danny Welbeck. I don't think he's that. He's not going to impact Premier League team anymore. We saw Watford brought him in, as like a last chance, really, to help him stay up. Didn't do anything majorly impressive. I think he's get gone now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think obviously his whole career has been stricken with injury.
Yeah,
it's a real shame for him because seeing him come up at Man United and thinking, "Wow, we've got a real talent on our hands here." It's just unfortunate to see his career go down the hill so drastically.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Diego Jota. I think he is potentially a player that could push into that world-class category in a few years' time. Because, actually, I don't know, to be fair, with Diego Jota, because I always question if he would suit another system. Because obviously at Wolves, the system works perfectly around him and Raul Jimenez. He has been injured this season a little bit, Diogo Jota.
Yeah.
He is a really good player, but is he just a good player because the system fits him? Or do you think it's because like he just is, he has the talent?
I think he's definitely got some talent there. Obviously, the signing from Atletico Madrid, coming from a good club there. But yeah, I think Jota, I'd say, is in that good tier.
Yeah.
The system. I mean, you can talk about the system, I think, because he has fit really well at Wolves. Obviously, they like to play with those three at the back, and the fullbacks like to get forward, like with Doherty and Johnny. I think he fits well with Jimenez and Traore as well up front. But I think as a Premier League player, I think he's just a good Premier League player.
Yeah, it's quite similar, I think, to ASM. He just needs to consistently perform on a better basis to be in that very good tier. Similar to how Adama's done this year.
I agree.
He just needs to be getting his numbers up. Next up, we've got Emile Smith-Rowe, who's been on loan. I think, who has he been on loan at this year? Can't remember. Huddersfield. Was it? Huddersfield. I think he's had a really good season in the Championship with Huddersfield. A lot of Arsenal fans hold him quite highly in their list of youngsters. I'm going to put him in not quite there yet because I probably think he could be quality because he's so young.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's in not quite there tier because I think it's more of what the future holds for Emile Smith-Rowe. He's not good enough start for Arsenal right now, but I do agree he showed some good flashes for Huddersfield and scored the goal that sent Leeds into the Premier League as well.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, I think this will divide opinion. Now, Gerard Deulofeu is absolutely quality on his day, but his day doesn't happen every day. It's not every match that he has his day. We saw last season how good he was when he pretty much picked Watford up and got him into the FA Cup final on his own, scored that hat-trick against Cardiff. When he's fit, he is magnificent. But for me now, I think that he doesn't want to be there. He won't want to be in the Championship especially. I don't think any team's looking at him personally. I think it's a get gone for Gerard Deulofeu.
Sure, I'll give you it because I think I do agree with you. Coming from Barcelona, had a lot of talent, and Watford fans were very excited to have him. But you know what? I'm looking at like what does he bring? What is his main attribute? What does he do well? And I just don't think he does anything well. I don't think he does anything unbelievably. Obviously, overall he's an all right player. But I probably agree. I think he's a get gone player.
Yeah, I think his time is over. Like we saw when he came through at Everton, he wasn't really good enough yet. He's come to Watford. He's had glimpses, but he's not shown the consistent quality. And I just think that nobody will want to pick him up because he's on high wages at Watford. Obviously, they'll need to sell him. I think he'll go back to Spain.
Probably will be. Yeah, I think going back to Spain is definitely an option for him because I do agree. I think his course in the Premier League is got his run.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Gabriel Jesus, one of the two Man City strikers. For me, he always divides opinion as well because some City fans think he's world class and he's going to be the next Aguero. But for me, I just don't see it. I think he's just a good striker, but he's not quite there yet in terms of if they want him to be Sergio Aguero, he needs a lot more quality and he needs a lot more time to gel, I think.
Yeah. Like I say, he definitely divides opinion because one game will look unbelievable and then he won't start for another 3 more games. I think that's also due to Pep Guardiola's constant rotation. Yeah. I think as a player, I think he's actually a very good player.
I think he's just good. I think he's level with ASM. I think for this season, I think. What do you think?
See, I were gonna put him in the very good tier because I think he's definitely on par with DCL and Danny Ings.
You think?
I think he's very good, but if you want to put him in good, that's fine.
No, I'll give you that one. You gave me Gerard Deulofeu, so I'll give you that one. I can see where you come in with Gabriel Jesus because he does give me that impression that he could be good, but it was like when I was watching that game with Josh against Southampton, he missed 4 or 5 clear-cut chances, and I think that just epitomises Gabriel Jesus. He misses 4 or 5 clear-cut chances that Sergio Aguero would just absolutely snatch at. Yeah.
I think it's one of them with Gabriel Jesus. The eyes will tell you one thing, but the stats will tell you another thing. Because when you look at his stats overall, you think he's just an average player. But I think what he brings, you can tell he's a very technically good player. I think in any other Premier League side, not Man City, I think he'd be one of their top contributing players.
That is also a good point, probably. In another side, he probably would be the main man.
Yeah.
Give him a full season, a full 38-game season, maybe. I agree with Welch, he said as well. They said he loves offsides. He does love an offside, Gabriel
Yeah, he
Jesus.
does. He does.
Probably just because he's so quick.
Probably too quick. Yeah, probably too quick for his own mind.
Next up, we've got another young player. He's had his first year at Arsenal. He's done really well in the Europa League this season. He scored a few goals in the Premier League. Gabriel Martinelli.
I think he's a good player, Gabriel Martinelli.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
He's shown this season that he can force his way into the Arsenal first team. I know it's not very hard to do that. That's no shots at Arsenal, by the way. But he's shown glimpses of what a player he can be. I mean, at the age he is, he's such a clinical finisher, and he's only going to get better. And I think he's a very good prospect for Arsenal, so I'd put him in the good tier.
Yeah, I think good as well. Like Bernardo says, he does have a lot of potential. He could potentially be very good. He is injured a lot, to be fair to him. Unluckily, he is injured. Next up, we've got Glenn Murray, who's obviously been fantastic for Brighton and Crystal Palace in the Premier League so far. He does what he needs to do, but I think now his time's done. I think it's time to get gone for Glenn Murray.
I agree. It's get gone for Glenn Murray. He's always been that, good goal scorer, but I think with the age he's at, it's not up to the Premier League standard anymore, in my opinion. Obviously, got that big goal against Man City on the final day last season, where I thought he's going to lead us, to win the league for us. But yeah, I think it's over for Glenn Murray.
Well, I think if that goal would have had any consequences, you'd have been putting him in world class.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
For now we're getting on to Jocelyn's favourite player, Olivier Giroud. I actually think Olivier Giroud should be in very good tier because what he does for that team and what he does for the France team as well, he's just very good at what he does. Not always scoring the goals, but it's just the link in the play, the intelligence he's got. You can see he's got the experience behind him, and he's just such a good football player to watch.
Sure, I'm going to agree with you there. I think he's a very good player. I think he's just very overlooked because people just don't like, when they think of Olivier Giroud, think of big target man. He's not that exciting player to watch, but what he does for the team is so important. Links up the play, and he consistently does score goals. So I do agree. I think he's a very good striker, Olivier Giroud.
Yeah, I think the Chelsea fans have now started to appreciate how good he actually is, especially in the second part of the season when Tammy Abraham sort of come off the boil a little bit.
Yeah, I agree, and I couldn't believe that Arsenal sold him. To be honest with you, for what, 16 million. I think that was an absolute bargain for Chelsea. And obviously they've obviously brought Timo Werner in to be their number one guy, but having Olivier Giroud as that next option is a brilliant second option for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, like Welch says, Giroud could have well got Champions League for Chelsea next season as well, because if they'd have lost that game yesterday against Wolves,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, they'd still been in it because we beat Leicester 2-0. But yeah, he was a Europa League top goal scorer as well last season. It just says a lot for Olivier Giroud, and it says what a class football player he is.
Yeah.
He's just a consistent performer. I don't remember him having a bad game for Chelsea. That's the thing.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, it's like you look at him playing, you think, why is this guy not starting week in, week out? And Tammy Abraham had a great start to the season, but when he went off the pace a little bit, he lost a bit of form. Olivier Giroud was still there and still playing week in, week out really well.
So next up, we've got Harvey Barnes. We've already had a chat about him earlier when I asked you what your opinion of him would be if he brought to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure with Harvey Barnes. Obviously, it was his first year in the Premier League this year. Coming from where did he come from?
He come from the Championship, didn't he? Was
it Sheffield United he came from? I have no idea where Harvey Barnes. If someone wants to just tell me where Harvey Barnes came from in the comments, it was somewhere definitely in the Championship. I might be giving a big discredit to that team. I apologise, but I think he needed a season under his belt for sure. But he has come into a very good Leicester side, and sometimes he's been a starter. Jocelyn said he wastes a lot of chances. I can see where you're coming from, but with a young player, I think they always do. They rush a lot of things that they don't have the intelligence as of yet. But I think for Harvey Barnes to really get into that very good tier, he'd need another consistent season and probably a lot more goals scored.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you look at the pure talent that Harvey Barnes has, he's a really, really exciting player. But it's just kind of growing into the Premier League, and once his end product improves, he'll be a much better player. Obviously he likes to get him behind, but there's so many different players in the Premier League that show flashes that you say, oh, they look good, but do they actually have that end product? Do they actually impact the game in goals and assists. I'd probably put him in the good tier.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's going in the good tier. He was on loan at West Brom.
I think he has always been Leicester's player. I think he's been French as well on loan.
That's what Welch is putting in chat. He said he was on loan, and Jason's just putting now he's on loan at West Brom. So next up we've got Harry Kane, and as much as I probably won't like to do this, he is world class because he does score so many goals, and he has the finishing ability to be world class. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a massive fan of him as a player. I think he's overrated a bit, but as a finisher, he's a world class player.
And if we're putting it on this season, he has scored a lot of key goals for Tottenham in the Premier League this season.
And I think with Harry Kane as well, every single season he always seems to have that 2 to 3 months out with that ankle injury. Whereas if he stays fully fit, we could definitely see the pure quality that Harry Kane has. But I think he is definitely world class.
Now for Son, he's a really, really good football player, and I can't put Bernardo Silva, Pulisic, Martial, Andrew Lacazette in very good and put Heung-min Son in world class because I think this season he's definitely been on level with those 4 players. What do you think?
I agree. I'm tempted to put him in world class, but like you just said, is he a tier above all them players in very good? I don't think he is. However, I'm a massive fan of Heung-min Son. I think he's a very good player, but I would put him in very good based on other players would put him very good. Yeah,
because if we're going to put him in world class, I think that the Bernardo Silva, for example, needs to be Pulisic, Martial, Lacazette. They're all similar quality to Son, but Son has been very good for Tottenham this year, scoring a lot of crucial goals. So next up, we've got Harry Wilson on loan at Bournemouth from your beloved Liverpool. I'm not quite sure where to put Harry Wilson because he's definitely not get gone because he's so young. He's probably not good. I think he's probably not quite there yet.
I'd say not quite there yet. In terms of, for Liverpool standard, he's not quite good. He's not quite there yet to start at Liverpool, albeit he could be a backup. But yeah, I agree. I think he's not quite there yet. He's not quite in the tier of those other good players. I'd probably give you that. It's a tough one for me because I do really like Harry Wilson. I think he has a future at Liverpool.
Yeah,
but I'd probably put him in not quite there yet. I don't think he could consistently do it. For a Premier League team.
He reminds me a little bit of, he's a similar sort of player to Cho, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and he just needs that consistency. I think he needs to. I'm pretty sure if he got a consistent run in the Bournemouth team, for example, because I know he did get injured, didn't he, for a little bit. If he had a consistent run, would have probably been seen him put out better numbers because he has scored quite a few goals in the Premier League this season. He's looked decent in a Bournemouth team.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, he's shown the flashes that he can be a fantastic player. I mean, Benalo's put in the comments he's put Harry Wilson's a free kick beast, and he is because set pieces he's absolutely fantastic, and he will score the occasional screamer, but it's just consistently doing that week in week out to become a good player. Yeah,
I remember the one he scored last season against Man United at Old Trafford for Derby.
Put up the 5 times and
put up the 5 times, absolute shithouse. Next up, we've got Isaac Success, who's definitely not been a success at Watford. Without saying anything, Will, I think this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th inductee into Get Gone.
Yeah, just get him in there. Get him out of his misery. He's Get Gone, I'm afraid.
Isaac Success has not been a success. Next up, we've got Crystal Palace striker number 2 in Jordan Ayew. And for me, he's had a really, really good season this year. He has carried Crystal Palace to where they are. He's probably carried them to staying up in terms of how many points his goals have got them.
I agree. I think he's had obviously the young brother of Andre Ayew, and I've always looked at him and thought the potential's there. And this season, I think he has really broke out and shown that he can be a week in week out striker. I think he's in the good tier. I won't put him in very good, but I think he's definitely a very good player.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I wouldn't put him in the very good tier because of the players that are there.
Oh, definitely.
I think from this season, he's shown that he can be a good player.
I think for Jordan Ayew, it's a case of can you do it next season? Yeah. But the talent is definitely there. He's getting on a little bit now, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a tough. Like you said, we've seen one season from him, but can he prove that he's not that one season wonder?
Yeah. Next up, we've got Josip Drmic, and I think he's been really underwhelming. We've seen that he could do it when he played for, I think it was Gladbach, in Germany. We saw him scoring week in, week out, absolutely smashing it. He got on a free transfer to Norwich, I thought that was a really good deal because of how many goals he scored in Germany. But he just hasn't quite had the same quality. I don't know if it's the players he's playing around or the Norwich setup or the system that doesn't suit him. But I don't know if he's not quite there yet or it's just a get gone.
Tough one because I do agree. Muchin Gladbach, he was a very good player. I'm gonna put him in not quite there yet because I do feel like if he was in a better team with a better supporting cast, like you said, I think he'd have a bit more success than he's had with Norwich.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll put him in not quite there yet. Next, this is Cucho Hernandez or Juan Hernandez, who's been on loan in the La Liga this year. I don't really know much about him. I don't think he's played for Watford this season. He's quite young. I don't want to put him in get gone because I've never seen him play. I'll check how many goals he's scored on my phone right now. Just 1 second. I've never seen him.
I didn't recognise him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've never seen him play. But Juan Hernandez for Watford. He was on loan this season. He was at Huesca last season. 1 second. He played for Mallorca this season. 22 appearances. He's got 5 goals. I think he's 21 years old, which is not bad in a Mallorca team that went down this season. I'm pretty sure. He's probably going to be playing Championship football next season. I'm not quite sure where to put him because for Premier League quality, is he a get gone or is he not quite there yet? Do you think?
I think it'd be a bit harsh for him and get gone because obviously we've not seen him play in the Premier League. But at the same time, do we think he could come in and make an impact? And I'm not sure he could or not. I'm going to put him in not quite there because I've not seen anything of him.
Yeah, we'll put him in not quite there. So that has now brought the two rows. Now we've got Josias Kieren, whose career has definitely been injury ridden for sure. His Premier League career anyway. Yeah. He is a good player when he plays for Brighton, though, I think. And I think he is not quite there as well because I've not seen a full season of what impact he can do in the Premier League. I can't really say get gone, but what do you think?
I agree. I think he is not quite there. He's shown flashes that he can be a good player. Obviously, Brighton fans were excited when they signed him and he scored the odd goal here and there, but he's not consistently shown he can be a good player in the Premier League.
Right, next up we've got Josh King, who's former United player. He's done all right for Bournemouth this year, but I think the fact that they've gone down and their free strikers have all been fit, it just says a lot about Bournemouth themselves and especially the quality that they've got up front. But I just don't think he is. I don't think he's as good as Callum Wilson. And like Justin said, he's probably his class for Norway. I think he's good enough for another Premier League team like the likes of Burnley or Brighton, someone like that. It could be good for them. But I don't think he's level with Callum Wilson. I think he's probably, again, like I said, we should have had another tier between not quite there yet and get gone, or good and not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm probably just going to put him in not quite there yet. What do you think?
I was going to say good because I think he's a good player, but at the same time, you put out a very good point. Bournemouth finished 19th. Or they finished 19th, didn't they? Yeah, finished 19th with all 3 of their strikers healthy. They had no injury issues, and they still went down. I'll give you that. I'll say not quite there because I think he definitely could have done better than
the only thing that's like tempting me to put him in get gone is the fact that he's had 3 or 4 seasons in the Premier League absolutely smashing it, or being I'll say what absolutely smashing it, having a good season, but and this season he's kind of just gone off the boil a bit.
Yeah, I think not quite there. He's fair for him.
Yeah, like I said, if I'd have known what the bloody tiers were when I checked this morning, I'd have added another tier in for sure that were just like in the middle that was like bad or something.
Yeah.
Jonathan Codger he's not at Villa anymore. I think he had half a season at the start of the season. I don't think he did that much, but I think he's gone to Qatar. I think it is. So we'll just put him in get gone.
Yeah, I agree. Get gone. I don't think he's Premier League quality anyway. Jonathan Codger.
Yeah, he's again similar to Dwight Gale. The fact that he smashed it in the Championship, come up to the Premier League, his end product's gone.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Burnley striker number 3, Jay Rodriguez, and he has had a really good season. Scored a screamer at Old Trafford. He scores a lot of goals. He scored that goal against you lot, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, very good finish as well. Yeah, on the turn.
He scores a lot of crucial goals. Like, I'm pretty sure he scored on a 1-0 win against someone earlier in the season as well. A crucial 3 points for Burnley. They've been pushing for Europa League this season. obviously they're mid-table merchants normally now. I think Jay Rodriguez for me is probably with Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood on good.
I agree. I think he's a good Premier League player. You know what you get him with Jay Rodriguez. He's a hard worker, and he's shown this season that he can. He's a very good underrated finisher. So I think good. Yeah, I think good.
I think he's always been that consistent player though, especially when he was at West Brom, and now we've seen it at Burnley. He's consistent goal scorer. He'll get you goals no matter what. Like you said, you know what you're getting with him.
Exactly. It's always been like when he played for Southampton, he was a very good player. Just suffered with a lot of injuries at Southampton, which was a shame. But now he's getting that run of games. It's showing what he can do.
Next up, we've got Jamie Vardy, top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. He has thrived in that Leicester squad this season. Obviously, he's probably been their best player since the restart. They have had a lot of injuries, to be fair to them. They just missed out on Premier League football. Europa League football probably is the right level that their squad needs at the moment. Is he world class or is he just very good? Well, what do you think?
It's a tough one because he's obviously now the reigning Golden Boot winner. This is a really.
If we're basing it on this season,
yeah,
I think he is world class. I think if we're based it on this season long, because we've obviously based the Damas on this season, Martial's on this season, Callum Wilson, Josh King on this season. I think if we're based it on this season, I think Jamie Vardy has to be in world class.
I probably would say I was leaning towards world class, but I'm looking in the very good tier. You know, Son, I think he's world class. I think obviously Bernardo Silva's world class. Pulisic could be making a push for world class. But I think world class, yeah, based off this season, he's shown he's a world class striker.
Right, we'll go with world class for Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, we'll leave him world class. Yeah.
People are going to have different opinions to us, of course, but this is our tier list. If you've got any suggestions or anything you want to talk about, just put it in the comments. We'll have a chat about it, and maybe that'll sway our decisions a little bit.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Joe Linton, or Go Linton, as Kieren likes to call him. He's been very underwhelming this season. He obviously did quite well for Hoffenheim in Germany. He was a young star coming over to the Premier League. He's that Brazilian striker. You didn't really know what you were going to get with him. I think for Joe Linton, is it a not quite there yet?
I think it's not quite there because I think he definitely needs another season. I mean, he's in a Newcastle team where, apart from Alan St. Maximin and maybe Almiron, he's not really getting the supply that he would do it for a bigger team. And obviously, only 2 goals, £40 million signing, very, very underwhelming if you're a Newcastle fan. But I think he deserves that next, one more season to show. Can he improve? Can he adjust to the Premier League?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like Jocelyn said, definitely overpriced, 50 million or whatever it was they paid for him.
Yeah,
too much. But I think they thought they were getting someone who's like a diamond in the rough, to be fair. But unfortunately, it's not worked out for him that way.
Yeah.
And I think he's only scored 2 or 3 Premier League goals in all season for a Newcastle team that was kind of battling relegation earlier in the season.
Yeah, and I think one of those goals came in August against Tottenham as well, so a long time ago.
I think Josh told me a stat yesterday, which was like Shelby finished as Newcastle's highest goal scorer. And
he did 6 goals.
It was the lowest for like so many years or something. But it just shows you what level the Newcastle strikers were on. And we talked about ASM. Like, if anybody in the middle was better quality, I think he'd have a lot more assists.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Next up, anyway, we've got Jota. I don't think he's really done much for Villa this year. Obviously, they signed him from Birmingham, didn't they? I think it was
signed from Birmingham, yeah.
10 million at the start of the season or something. And I just don't see the quality or the hype around him. He's definitely not Premier League quality. I think it's a get gone.
I think it's get gone as well. I think his ceiling is a Championship player, and I was very, very confused why Aston Villa actually signed him.
Yeah,
I don't think he's one of them players that's going to make an impact in the Premier League at all.
Right, anyway, next up we've got Kieren Davis. I think he does have the quality to be a Premier League player. He just needs to improve in a lot of areas. He's obviously young, and he probably wasn't supposed to be put into the first team picture so quickly. But with the injury of what's his name, Wesley, so early in the season, obviously being out all season long, it's difficult to give Kieren Davis a fair impression because he probably wasn't ready to be in the
kind of put into the spotlight, wasn't he? He kind of thrown into the limelight and said, "We need goals from you," which I thought was a bit unlucky for him, really.
especially if they hadn't signed Samatta as well. It would have been just him leading the line on his own, which obviously, unfortunately for him, he probably can't do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go not quite there yet for Kieren Davis. That's Aubameyang. That's Aubameyang. That's Kieren Davis.
Yeah, I agree. Not quite there yet, but again, we weren't expecting anything from him this season anyway, really, just because of injuries he was put into the spotlight.
Where's Aubameyang gone? There he is.
There he is.
Right, we'll go with Aubameyang next.
Yeah.
For me, Aubameyang is world class. He absolutely carries Arsenal.
World class striker, Aubameyang.
I think that's all we need to say. Absolutely carries Arsenal. I'm not quite sure how in that team he carries Arsenal, because there's so many good players and they're just not up to the quality or the standard that Aubameyang's at. Like Lacazette, if you could give out the numbers that Aubameyang could, Arsenal might be challenging for the Premier League title.
Exactly, yeah. And when you look on paper, the Arsenal side, you think what a team it is, but the players just can't consistently seem to, create as many chances as you think they would do. But yeah, I totally agree. Aubameyang's world class, and I think since he's joined Arsenal in the Premier League, I think there's only one player that scored more goals than him during the time span that he's been in the Prem, which is Mo Salah. So when you scored over like 60 something goals for Arsenal, which I think he has done since he signed for him, it's absolutely incredible for him.
Oh yeah, especially in that team, I think as well. There's a team that's suffering as of now. Next up, we've got Kelechi Iheanacho, obviously signed from Man City a few years ago for
about 20 million or something.
Leicester. Yeah, 20 million, I think it was.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think he's not quite there.
You think?
Put it out there. Yeah, I don't think he's. I think he's had his chance. He's. I know he's in and out of the lineup a bit, but he got that £20 million transfer to Leicester, where you'd think he'd get more game time. And I haven't seen a consistently good Premier League player, so I think he's just not quite there.
Yeah, he does have his moments. He does pop up with the odd goal, but I think the fact that he's on the bench for Leicester just proves that he's probably not quite there yet. Brendan Rodgers is a good judge of character. Maybe he just doesn't see it in him yet.
No.
I think this is Leon Clark. This one.
Yeah, it's Leon Clark, yeah.
And I don't think he's played this season, has he? I think it's also a get gone, because I don't think I've seen him play. But if I'm basing it on these players, he's a very similar quality to these players. And I think for Leon Clark, it is a get gone.
I think I was very surprised that he stayed with Sheffield United when they got promoted, because obviously they brought in Ollie McBurnie, brought in Lys Mousset, and they've still got Billy Sharp, like we've just said. Where does Leon Clark fit in that team? I think he's a championship striker at best. So yeah, let's get gone.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Lucas Moura, who scored the goal that Tottenham fans went wild for last year when he scored that hat-trick against Ajax. Yeah. He's very good on his day. He's not had his day very much this season. I don't think a lot of Tottenham players have this season. I think he's... Where do you think? I'm thinking good tier, because he's not on the level of Son.
No, I agree. I think he's definitely, without a doubt, in that good tier at minimum. But I don't think I can put him in the very good tier.
Yeah, Bernardo's probably the best person to ask for this. But Lucas is good. He's impressed me attacking and defending. He has definitely stepped up his game in terms of defending this season for sure. I didn't think when he came in he was going to be that sort of person that they relied on for goals, because he's a winger.
He's more of a winger, yeah.
Yeah, but you can see how versatile he is, because he can play as a striker, behind the striker, on the wing. But I think if we're doing this fairly, if we're putting Son in very good, I think Lucas needs to go a tier below him into good.
I completely agree.
Now we'll move on to another Sheffield United striker, Lys Mousset. He obviously had a year at Bournemouth last year. This year he's at Sheffield United. I think he's doing all right. I don't know whether to put him good or not quite there yet. What do you think?
Tough one this, because I think when Sheffield United signed him, very exciting signing. I don't know. I'm leaning. I was gonna say good, but I'm looking more towards not quite there. Yeah,
I think for the first season he has scored a lot of crucial goals for Sheffield United this season, and he's a good player, especially because I don't know if you've seen the interview with Billy Sharp, but he talks about him being late to training all the time, paying his fines well, and just getting on with it. And obviously, that can't faze him as a player, because he's just obviously, if that don't faze you as a player, then you know your quality.
Yeah, yeah.
I think for Sheffield United, I think if they have another good season, and Lys Mousset does score more goals, probably leaning towards the good tier.
Yeah, and I think for Sheffield United to kick on now, I think Leeds Mousset to improve is needed.
I'm certain Lundstrom outscored the Sheffield United forward. John Lundstrom earlier in the season was absolutely bagging.
Scored again yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah, scored again. Put him in my fantasy team and he got me a solid 10 points.
Oh, I stopped doing the fantasy team halfway through because I was so far behind. So
I won my league, so I'm pretty sure.
us lots need to do one next year.
We do indeed.
Us lot need to start one next year for sure. Next up, we've got Leroy Sané. Obviously, he's gone to Bayern Munich with for a massive 50 million bid, which is a 50 million agreement, should I say. He's dashed already. Sad to see him go. He is my favourite player. I can't. If we're doing it on this season, I can't really put him anywhere else but get gone because he has gone.
You know what though? I think if the tier list though, it look a bit strange. Is Leroy Sané and get gone?
Yeah.
If I'm gonna base it off his Man City career, I'm gonna say he's a very good player.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think 50 million for him is kind of a bargain, really. He's still young. Obviously, he had that terrible ACL injury, which will hinder him. It will take him some time to get back into the stride of things. But I think what he showed for Man City, especially when they won the league, I think it was 16-17 or 17-18, one of those seasons, he was absolutely incredible. So I think very good spare for him.
I think in terms of Leroy Sané, I think it was I don't quite know why he wanted to leave, but I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I think he will thrive in that Bayern Munich team.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's obviously in the Bundesliga previously with Schalke as well, so he knows that he just slot in.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Leandro Trossard. He's enjoyed a good first year with Brighton. Probably not the best he'd have liked. Probably like to score a few more goals. I'm probably going to say not quite there for Leandro Trossard.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's very much like all these players are not quite there. They've shown flashes, but they need to consistently do it, and he's not consistently doing it for Brighton. Right,
next up we've got Miggy Almiron. Again, I think he's not scored as many goals as he'd probably liked. He's probably also in not quite there because it's his first season. He still needs another season under his belt, I think. Maybe with a different manager. No disrespect to Steve Bruce.
Yeah, and he was a January signing as well, so he was kind of bought in the middle of the season. I think not quite there is fair for him.
Yeah, Michy Batshuayi. Now, Jocelyn's probably got an opinion on him. I don't know where to put Batshuayi. I think his time for Chelsea has come and gone now, especially now they've got Werner. Is it a get gone, do you think, Will?
I think it is, I think it is. A couple of seasons ago, he started getting a run of games in the team and showed a bit of promise, but he could never really establish himself as that number one striker at Chelsea. So I think get gone. I think it is time for him to leave. And bringing in Werner, it just shows you that they want to improve that position. And Batshuayi just not good enough for him.
Now, next up, we've got the best player in the Premier League. Mason Greenwood. I'm gonna do this fairly. I think he's in good tier.
I would genuinely gonna say very good.
You think?
I think he is because
true.
From what I've seen, to score those goals, is he 18, 19?
He's 18.
Come straight into the Man United team, a team that obviously since they bought Bruno Fernandes, they've been a much better side. They've had more creativity, but he's come in up top with Rashford and Martial and all those other players that have played fantastic up front for Man United. I think he's a very good player. From what he's shown after the break as well, since quarantine, he's shown that he's a phenomenal finisher. And he's only going to get better as well. I think he's very good.
Like how Justin's saying, Mason and get gone tier. Brilliant. You know what? Because I'm not going to argue here, am I? I'm going to put him in very good. Next up, we've got Moise Kean, and I think he's been very harshly treated by Everton this season. I think they bought him for a big sum. Everyone were excited when they signed him because they were thinking, "Wow, what a brilliant signing! 32 million for someone who's been playing second fiddle to Higuain after the season at Juventus." But it's not gone his way, I think. And like I said, I think he's been treated very harshly by the Everton team. Like I remember him coming on at Old Trafford for 18 minutes and getting subbed off. No need to do that. That kills a young player's confidence.
Yeah, and I just don't think the move to Everton was the right move for him in his career. Moving from Juventus to Everton, it's a big step down. I think he deserves another chance somewhere else. I'd say not quite there yet, but he has the potential to be good. I think I wouldn't say get gone just yet.
Yeah, I think also he's not quite there. I'm not quite sure what the future holds for Moise Kean, if he's going to leave or Ancelotti does he have him in his plans.
See.
Bernardo said, get gone, Moyes wants out. I think I don't want to, because I like Moise Kean. I really like Moise Kean. I don't want to see him leave the Premier League because he is a good talent to watch, but it probably is a get gone in it.
From what we've seen this season, he's looking like a get gone, but I think he's not quite there. I think he deserves another chance. Is what I'm trying to say. I think there's a player in there. I just don't think he's on the right team.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Marcus Rashford. Fantastic this season. Absolutely magnificent this season. It's unfortunate with his injury. I think if he didn't get injured, he'd probably be pushing Jamie Vardy and Danny Ings for Golden Boot and Aubameyang. He's just got that unlucky back injury that kept him out of the key games that we played this season. I think if we'd have had him, we'd have got... I say we'd have got a lot more points, but we are unbeaten since he got injured, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think very good if we put in Martial and Greenwood in there as well.
Yeah, very good. I completely agree. I thought you were going to say world class, to be honest with you.
Nah, I can't say world class for Mark. Not yet. That's his first season doing it, whereas like the players we've got in world class have been doing it season in, season out, aren't they?
Yeah, true.
Like Mo Salah, definitely going in world class, isn't he, Will?
Yeah, world class player. Since he's signed for Liverpool, I mean, he's been an absolute revelation. I think in his 3 Premier League seasons, he's scored 32 goals, 23 goals, 19 goals. I mean, even this season, he had 19 goals, 10 assists. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable, really. Not much to say else on Mohamed Salah. Everyone knows he's world class.
Yeah, it's just it just seemed like Jason said, his shot to goal ratio is so bad, but he's still scored 19 goals this season.
Yeah, and if you don't shoot, you don't score. I mean, all the best players in Europe take. I think Ronaldo's got the highest shot percentage. Well, it takes the most shots in Europe. So I've not got anything against the player, taking a shot. I mean, some people might think, he's greedy, takes too many shots, but I've got nothing against the player having a shot on goal because, if you don't shoot, you don't score.
Yeah, I think, especially with Salah, he divides a lot of opinion because people say he's not at his best this season because of the first season he was so good. And it's amazing how he can still not have a good season and score 19 goals.
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's got to a point where people just kind of take him for granted because he's a good player. They expect him to be like a 40-goal season player every season because he's that good.
Yeah,
I think fans have just taken him for granted as, we know what Mo Salah can do. So they're looking past those 19 goals that he scored and expecting to do more, but not taking into account 19 goals, 10 assists for any other player in the Premier League would be absolutely fantastic season.
Yeah, I think it's definitely justified to be world class. He could get into any team in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, we'll move on now. Neil Maupay, I think he's had a very, very good season at Brighton. He's one of the examples to come up from the Championship and still be class in a team. I think he fits Graham Potter's system well, and I think probably good tier for Neil Maupay.
What tier are you looking at? I'm thinking good tier.
Yeah, I said good. If you didn't hear me,
I didn't know what you said because it keeps breaking up now and again because of my my fantastic Virgin Wi-Fi. But
dear.
Yeah, is it 11 goals this season for Neil Maupay for Brighton? I think something like that. He's I agree with what he said. He's come up from the Championship from Brentford. And I think he's done absolutely brilliant. Maybe that number 1 striker for Brighton.
Yeah, I think Graham Potter's used him well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 20 million I think it cost from Brentford, so he's definitely coming and justified his price. I mean, fair play to Brentford as well. They lost their main man and they're still looking to get promoted.
Yeah, Ollie McBurney obviously came from Sheffield United. Came from Swansea to Sheffield United. I think he's enjoyed a decent Premier League season. I think a lot of Sheffield United players have enjoyed a good Premier League season. For me, I think he's probably been the best of the Sheffield United strikers this season. I don't think I can put Ollie McBurney in good tier and put Lys Mousset in not quite their tier. I think they're both probably not quite their tier because they need to score more goals. Like someone said earlier, John Lundstram scored more goals than the Sheffield United forwards.
Yeah, I agree. I think the potential's there for him, like Lys Mousset, but based off this season, I think he's not quite there
yet. Next, we've got Kieran's favourite Hull legend. I'm having a fit. Oumar Niasse, and I know if he's still here, he'll be loving this. He's not even at Everton, is he anymore? I don't think.
I don't think so.
So I think he's going in get gone.
He's definitely a get gone player. I mean, Like you said, he's not even at Everton. So how can he be putting
Yeah.
any of the tiers? He's gone. Sorry. I mean, I love how he's just smiling, even though even though he's in the get gone tier.
He's loving it, isn't he?
Oh,
Next up, we've got
he's
Patrick
loving it.
Cutrone, who also got gone from Wolves about halfway through the season. He's on loan at Fiorentina with a permanent option to buy, I'm pretty sure. That just says a lot about the recruitment team at Wolves. I think that if they do that again, they need to take a look at themselves, because they signed him, obviously, quite highly recommended as well. I thought he was going to be a decent signing, quite similar to Raul Jimenez in a way of how he plays, but it's just not worked out for him, has it?
Not at all. I mean, signing him, I thought it would be a good signing for Wolves, have more firepower up front line, but like you say, it's never materialised for him, and the fact that they've loaned him out with an option to buy just shows they don't have any confidence in him at all.
I think he is. Yeah, I think he's another inductee to get gone, and he's not happy about it. Whereas Umanias is loving it.
He just loving it. Umanias just chuffed is actually on the tier list.
Next up, we've got Pedro Neto. I think he's done well this season. I think you can see the quality is there. He's probably it's similar to Adama Traore's first season. The end product's not quite there yet, I think, but he has got the potential. I think it's probably not quite there for Pedro Neto yet.
Yeah, I think he's not quite there. I just laugh then because I remember his celebration against Liverpool when he scored that goal and he got ruled off for VAR.
Yeah, wailing his arms about, running around thinking he'd scored. Was it the equaliser? Was it the?
He was the equaliser. And to be fair, he got robbed off him because it wasn't even offside. But yeah, I agree. I think he's only like 20 years old as well, Pedro Neto. So he's got a bit more to come.
Yeah, definitely. I think you really think get gone? Oh no, he's talking about Pedro, the actual Pedro, right? I agree.
No. Pedro Neto.
Yeah, no. I'm on about Jaslyn saying that they put Pedro get gone. I thought he was on about Pedro, and I was like a bit harsh. But for Pedro, I think it probably is a get gone.
Yeah, I agree. He's run his course in the Premier League, and we've seen that he's now gone because he's obviously joined Roma.
Yeah, I think he's been a fantastic servant to Chelsea. He is a big game player.
Oh yeah, definitely. When Chelsea signed him, I thought it was an absolutely fantastic signing from Barcelona, and he's shown that on his day again, he's just a quality player. But he's got to a point now where Chelsea just don't need him anymore, and he's done enough for the club. It's a mutual agreement really. Chelsea don't need him anymore. He can move on and the next chapter in his footballing career. But I do agree he's been a very good servant for Chelsea.
Yeah, we're getting towards the end of this now. I think we've been going for nearly an hour and a half, so we'll try to speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we don't take 2 hours or something. Next, we've got Roberto Firmino. He's not enjoyed the best season this season, but like you always say to me when I bring this up, he scored a lot of crucial goals for you, like the goal away at Wolves, the goal against Chelsea. He scored a lot of crucial goals. I'll let you decide where he goes.
Yeah, Firmino, I'm going to put him in a very good tier.
I would agree.
I don't think he's in the world-class tier because I can't put him with the other 4 players, but I think if you're looking at stats-wise, you'd say Firmino's just a good player, but for what he brings to the team, he obviously links the play up so well. And like I said, doesn't score as many goals, but he scores the big goals. And when you take Firmino out of that team and you put Origi up front starting, Liverpool are just a completely different team, and his pressing's underrated, how he works back on defence. So I think, Firmino's a very good player.
Right, next up we've got Raul Jimenez. He's just such a good striker in a very, very underrated Wolves side. I think he also needs to go in very good for me.
I agree. I think he's a very good player.
I think him and Adama Traore complement each other so well, and especially like last season we saw Diogo Jota and Raul Jimenez complement each other so well. Just shows the versatility in the Wolves side.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, those front three, they can line up in many different positions, but Raul Jimenez is a very good striker.
Yeah, and also with the Wolves team, it's always Jimenez and another, not Diogo Jota and Traore. It's always Jimenez, Traore, Jimenez, Jota.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, we've got Riyad Mahrez. Where do you think he should go?
It's a tough one because he's not played enough games for Man City this season, but I think that's because he plays for Man City. He's not guaranteed first team football every single week. I still think he's a very good player though, because I think many other teams he will be starting.
I think if we're going to put Bernardo Silva in very good, I think we need to put Riyad Mahrez in very good as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think he has actually had a better season than Bernardo Silva this year.
Yeah, you probably could say that. I mean, the thing is with Man City, they've got so many players that can play in so many different positions. Like, you look at their attackers, Mahrez can also play in the middle as well as just behind a strike because he's so versatile. But yeah, just looking at the pure quality of Riyad Mahrez, former PFA Player of the Year winner, he's a very good player.
Yeah. Next, we've got Reece Nelson. Obviously, scored the winner for Arsenal against you lot in that game at the Emirates. Terrible game for Liverpool. Where do you think he should go?
I'm going to say not quite there yet because I need to see more of him. I know he enjoyed quite a nice loan spell in Germany, but I don't think he's good enough to be starting for Arsenal as of right now.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Next, we've got Raheem Sterling. He's scored, I think, was it 25 goals this season? I'm not sure how many he's got in the Premier League, but I think for Raheem Sterling this season, he had that patch where he didn't score for quite a while. Apart from that, he was absolutely firing all season, all cylinders. I think very good for Raheem Sterling. What do you think?
I think very good as well. I've never been a massive fan of Raheem Sterling. I don't like him as a person, but I can't ignore his footballing ability. I don't think he's world class. I know many Man City fans will be absolutely arguing that he's world class, but personally, I think very good. He's still in the very good tier. He's still a fantastic player, but I don't think he can get into that world class tier.
Right. Next up, we've got Sergio Aguero, and I think straight away world class. What do you think?
World class.
Yeah, definitely.
He's been doing it for so many years now for Man City.
I think you can see the level that Man City are at when they drop down to Jesus. No disrespect to Jesus. When they drop down from Aguero to Jesus, because they lose that finishing quality, they lose that deadliness in front of net that Aguero's got.
Yeah.
That finish it. Yeah, he's just such a consistent player, year in, year out.
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's even arguments that you could say Aguero's the best striker in Premier League history, just because he's been doing it for so long. He just does so much for Manchester City team, and he's one of them guys where no matter what, who you're playing or what form he's on, he's always one of the first names on the team sheet because he's just that good.
I agree with you. I don't have a clue who that is. I don't know who this player is. I don't know who this player is.
I can't tell you who that is either.
Right, we'll move on from it. I'm going to try. I'll try load FIFA up and I'll try have a look while we wait. Next up, we've got Seb Haller. I think, unfortunately for him, he's probably not had his best season. Again, another player who's come over from Germany and hasn't enjoyed the best spell this season.
No.
I think for Seb Haller, I think he needs to be given another year because he got injured towards the end of the year. Mikel Antonio's probably keeping him out of the side now, but maybe he can break back into the mould next year and have a better season.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's very, very similar to Joe Linton. Both, big transfer fees, 40 million and 45 million. I know he scored more goals than Joe Linton has, but again, you want your £45 million striker to be that consistent goal scorer, which he hasn't been. And like you say, it could be down to injuries, could be down to confidence, but he definitely deserves one more chance. I don't think he deserves to go in the get-gone tier just yet.
Next up, we've got Shane Long. I think, obviously, Southampton striker. I think I don't think he's at Premier League level anymore. I think he might be another get-goner.
I love it how you just say he's a get-goner. He's gone. Yeah, I agree. He's in that get-gone tier. He doesn't play enough for Southampton anymore.
He's a get-goner.
He's a get-goner.
Right, next we've got Sadio Mane. I'm trying to find. I'm still looking on bloody FIFA to try and find who this player is. I can't find who he is.
I can't say I've ever.
I don't know who that is.
I can't say I've ever seen him in my entire life.
No disrespect to this player, but I have never seen you in my life. I'm pretty sure he's a silver on FIFA.
I mean, I'm trying to look at his kit, but I don't know what his kit is. Does he play for Villa or something? I'm not too sure.
No, that ain't Villa. If anybody knows who that is, just let us know. Anyway, we'll move on. Sadio Mane. Obviously, I'm saying straight away world class.
Yeah, world class.
No, that's not Sadio Mane. I picked up the wrong guy.
You could actually argue with Sadio Mane that he's probably like the all-round best attacker in the entire Prem.
Oh,
just because he brings so much. I think he's better than Salah as a player, just because he brings more to the game. Obviously, Salah and Mane are both world class. But if I could only pick one as a Liverpool fan, I'd pick Sadio Mane just because he brings so much to the team. Yeah, he's just a brilliant player in Mane. We know what Sadio Mane can do. Yeah.
Now we have Tammy Abraham. I'm pretty sure Jackson's got an opinion on him. Divides opinion a little bit. He has been pretty decent this season, I think, though. But the second part of the season, he has kind of boiled off a little bit. I'm saying good for Tammy Abraham.
I agree. I think he's in that good tier. Start of the season, he was very good, but his form definitely dropped off towards to the mid to the end of the season. So I think good's fair for him.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Taif Chong. I don't like Taif Chong. I'm not going to lie. As a Man United fan, I don't like Taif Chong. I don't see the quality there at all. I don't think he's got it. I don't think he's Premier League quality at all. I think he's a get goner for sure. Maybe it's a get goner on loan for a year, and then we'll see what he's like next year. But for me, get goner.
Yeah, I mean, the only game I saw of Taif Chong for Man United was that game in the Europa League where Lingard was captain, and he didn't do it right. Yeah, he didn't do it right a lot.
Yeah, it's a get goner for me. It's Tahi Chong. I'd love for him to prove me wrong, but for right now,
he's get goner.
I still can't find who he is, Will.
I'll have a look as well.
I still can't find who this guy is.
I'll have a look on Footed as well.
Is he a left winger? He's not a left winger. Right. Anyway, while we do that, I don't even know that is even next to Troy Deeney, but we'll go for Troy Deeney.
You don't know who that is? I know who that is. We'll get to him in a minute.
Right.
We'll get to him in a minute.
This is Troy Deeney. I think he's always been Mr. Consistent for Watford. I think he's probably just good tier.
Yeah, I think he's just a solid player. Nothing special. You know what you're going to get with Troy Deeney, captain of the team, but it's good. He's definitely the ceiling for him.
Yeah. Next up, who is this? Well, who is this?
It's Tommy Hemed.
Oh, right.
He's brilliant legend. Yeah, it's Tommy Hemed. And to be honest, he spent the season on loan at Charlton, so he's not actually played in the Premier League. So I think he's a get goner.
Is he getting gone?
I think he's a get gone. I'm afraid.
Right, you've heard it here first.
He's world class for Israel, though.
Is he?
Yeah, world class.
Before. Right, Timu Puki. I think this one also divides opinion a little bit because he was class in the Championship. Not good enough in the Premier League. Obviously, he's not scored enough goals. Do you give him another season, or do you think his time's done?
It's tough because, like you say, he started the season at the start. He was absolutely incredible for Norwich and he picked up a lot of points. Got a big win against Man City, but at the end of the season, he was he boiled off big time, and that's the reason why they finished bottom of the league. Where would you? I was going to say not quite there.
I feel harsh.
I feel like for other Premier League sides, it'd be all right.
Yeah. We'll put him in not quite there. Next, we've got Trezeguet. He's obviously got some key goals for Villa this year, but like I said, he's a bit similar to El Ghazi. There's they're not good enough quality to just be. Villa can't settle on just staying up every year. They've got to try and move up the league a little bit every year. They've got to try and push on to be an established Premier League team. And if Trezeguet got a little bit more consistent, because I know Villa fans, a lot of them don't really like Trezeguet. They don't really rate him. But ever since he scored them goals, they love him. It's for me, I think he's with El Ghazi and not quite there
yet. I think he's not quite there yet. Like you say, he scored 2 goals. Who was it against? That 2-0 win Aston Villa got?
Was it Burnley or West Ham? Or I don't know. I think it was
one of them. Yeah, he got both goals, but obviously scored against Arsenal as well. But yeah, I agree. I think we need to see more from him to show that he's a good Premier League player.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Wilfried Zaha, who's just been. He's been a little bit off the boil this season. I'd say last year he was phenomenal. But I think Wilfried Zaha, he absolutely carries that Palace team. He's probably not carried him as much as Jordan Ayew has this season.
No.
But on his day, he's a world-class footballer. I don't world-class. He's a very good footballer, should I say.
Yeah, talent-wise, he's world-class, definitely.
Yeah. I think if he was to move, I think we'd probably see the best of Wilfried Zaha. I think he does need to leave Crystal Palace for sure this season. Yeah,
100%. He needs to move to a team that's competing in Europe, where he's actually going to have better players around him. And like you said, for what he's done with that Crystal Palace team, I think he deserves to go very good.
Yeah, I think very good as well, because you can see the talent of Wilfried Zaha, and I think, like I said, we'd see the best of him if he were to move. Right,
Wesley.
Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley. Yeah.
I think straight away Wesley is not quite there yet because he's not had a season in the Premier League. He also had that nasty injury that he got earlier in the season that's kept him out. He probably not scored the amount of goals that Villa would have liked because he is there now. He was there number 9 when he first came in. Obviously, they were forced to sign Ali Samata, who's not on this list. But I think we'd put both of them in not quite there.
Yeah, I'd agree. Not quite there for Wesley because, like you say, with those injuries, he's not showing his full potential, but he's still quite young, so maybe we can see more from him next season.
Now we're down to his final 3 or 4, if we can find out who this guy is. Willian.
You know what? I think Willian's very good.
You think very good?
I think very good. I think he's better than majority of the players in good. Just his technical ability is fantastic. He's getting older, but he's still he seems like he's getting better with age for some reason. Still performing very good for Chelsea, still starting. I think he's a very good player, Willian. I'd take him at Liverpool 100%.
I just don't think. I'm looking at the players in very good, and I'm thinking they've all had a better season than Willian this season. And I think ASM's had a better season than Willian. That's the only reason I'd maybe put Willian in good.
Go on, I'll give you it.
Right.
I'll give you it.
Next, we've got XS23, Xherdan Shaqiri. I'll let you talk about Shaqiri because I don't even think he's played this season, has
he? He's barely played, and that's not because he's not good enough. He just suffered with injuries. But when he plays, I really like Shaqiri. I think he's technically very good set piece taker. Likes a long shot. Do you know? I think Shaqiri is actually a good Premier League player. It's just a matter of him. Can he stay healthy?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with Shaqiri because we saw the quality at Stoke. I don't think we can fairly judge him because he's been injured. He'd probably played a lot more minutes if he hadn't been injured as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's been rumours of him linking away from Liverpool, but I hope he. It's a tough one because I really like him. I don't want him to leave, but at the same time, player can only last a certain amount of time before you've got to move on for him. But we'll have to wait and see what happens to him. Yeah,
for sure. Next up, we've got Yoshinori Muto. Well, last up, shall I say? Like Yoshinori Muto. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him at Newcastle. I think, is it just a get-goner, Will?
I think he's a get-goner because all I've ever seen him do for Newcastle is score that goal at Old Trafford. Other than that, I've not seen him.
I remember that goal at Old Trafford as well. So that is
Jack Lunds has found him. He's called Anachak for Brighton. 65 rated left wing on FIFA 20.
Right, so he's going in get gone then. I've never heard of him. Unfortunately, I've never heard of him. Thank you, Jasper, for that. So that is the official tier list for this week, or the Premier League forwards tier list. Thank you very much, Will, for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate that a lot.
Really enjoyed it.
Next week, I'm going to have Rowan on with me. We'll probably be doing something to do with WWE or something. If anybody's got any suggestions for what tier list you want to see, just stick them in the comments or anything at all. I appreciate everyone for joining us for the first episode. Thank you very much for getting involved and stuff. Again, thank you, Will, for being here. Make sure you check out everything else on the top corner, on the Sports Corner page. Tomorrow we've got Wrestling Corner. Wednesday we don't unfortunately have the podcast this week. We're giving that a bit of a rest until the Premier League season and the football gets underway again. Thursday or Friday we've got the Wrestling Corner. We've got the NFL Corner with Will and Kieren. Have you guys got a date for that yet?
The thing is, right? It's either Thursday or Friday. So because obviously I work, it does kind of mess with the schedule a bit. But I'm free this Thursday. I'm not working this Thursday, so as long as Kieran's free, that video will be up Thursday.
Yep, and then on Saturday, I think Josh is doing a World Cup watch. World Cup. What am I smoking today? He's on an FA Cup watch along. And then
I wish it were the World Cup.
Oh, trust! I wish it was the World Cup as well. And on Sunday, where Rowan is doing an F1 watch along with I think it's the British Grand Prix Silverstone this week. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Follow the Twitter page because Josh is absolutely flying with the Twitter. He's a masterclass of Twitter, I think. But anyway, yeah, like I said, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Will, again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'll see you all next week for episode 2.
KD tier list. See you later.
KD tier list.